Hello and welcome to Business 360 right here on ITV. I am Anwoluwakpo Stevens. There's so much to talk about today on the show, especially as regards taxation, as we get some interesting news coming in from the IMF. Now let's quickly run through the major headlines on the show. Revenue: IMF asks federal government to impose fuel telecom taxes. Manufacturing sector contributes 329.59 billion naira to VAT revenue in the first quarter of 2026. Foreign VAT collection rise 83% year-on-year to 830.47 billion naira in the first quarter of the year 2026. Now let's get into it by kickstarting with the information regarding revenue, as we see IMF asking the federal government to impose fuel and telecommunication taxes. What really does this mean, and how have you been taking this information? So it says that the International Monetary Fund, that's the IMF, has recommended introducing taxes on fuel products and telecommunication services in Nigeria as part of broader measures to increase government revenue and create fiscal space for development spending and social interventions. Now, the recommendation was contained in the IMF's 2026 Article 4 consultation report on Nigeria, where the fund argued that additional tax measures would be needed over the medium term, despite the recent overhaul of the country's tax system. It says, and I quote, that further tax policy changes will likely be needed, such as increasing the VAT rates, extending VAT to fuel products, rationalizing tax expenditures, in particular VAT exemptions on extractive industries and some customs duties, and introducing telecom excess. Now, to complement administrative gains, the IMF said. The Washington-based institution, however, cautioned that timing of any new taxes must take into account Nigeria's rising poverty levels and worsening food insecurity. The recommendation is likely to trigger, of course it has already triggered, fresh debates in the country, given the sensitivity surrounding fuel prices and telecommunication costs. A previous attempt by the federal government to introduce a 5% excise duty on telecom services faced widespread opposition from operators, subscribers, and consumer advocacy groups before it was eventually suspended and later scrapped. Telecommunication companies had argued that the sector was already burdened by multiple taxes, rising energy costs, foreign exchange pressures, and infrastructure challenges, warning that any additional levy would ultimately be passed on to the consumers through higher call and data charges. Similarly, proposals linked to fuel taxation have generated opposition from labor unions and private sector groups amid concerns over the rise in living costs following the removal of petrol subsidies and increases in transport and food prices. The IMF's latest recommendation comes as it projects that Nigeria will need stronger revenue mobilization efforts to sustain planned increases in public spending and support vulnerable households. Now, according to the report, revenue-enhancing tax policies could create additional revenue equivalent to 3.9% of gross domestic product, that's the GDP, within 3 years of implementation. The fund identified a 2 percentage point increase in the value-added tax, the tax rate, as the single largest contributor, with an estimated revenue gain of 0.8% of GDP. It also projected that removing pioneer status incentives and revising free zone regulations would generate another 0.7% of GDP, while reforms to capital gains taxation and adjustment to personal income tax bands, allowances, and rates would each contribute 0.6% of GDP. The IMF further estimated that a top-up tax on multinationals and large firms could raise 0.5% of GDP, while rationalizing investment allowances would add another 0.4%. Beyond new tax measures, the fund said Nigeria could generate even larger gains through stronger tax administration. It projected that administrative reforms would yield an additional 3.1% of GDP through improved compliance, that's number one, efforts and enforcement to reduce informality in the economy. According to the report, measures such as fiscalization, electronic invoicing, and cross-validation of tax deduction could generate 1.5% of GDP, while expanded tax identification registration and consolidation of taxpayer databases could contribute another 1.6% of GDP. The IMF acknowledged that some of Nigeria's recently enacted tax reforms would reduce government revenue in the short term because they were designed to support households and small businesses. It estimated that revenue-reducing measures would lower revenues by 2.4% of GDP, with expanded VAT input credits, additional zero-rated items, and broader exemptions on basic consumption goods accounting for 1.7 percentage points. Lower corporate income tax obligations for smaller firms would reduce revenues by 0.4% of GDP, while lower personal income tax rates and expanded exemptions for low-income earners would account for another 0.3 percentage point reduction. Overall, the IMF projected that the combined impact of revenue-enhancing measures, administrative reforms, and revenue-reducing policies would result in a net increase in government revenue equivalent to 4.6% of GDP over the medium term. The fund argued that stronger revenue mobilization had become increasingly important because Nigeria's fiscal position remained under pressure despite recent reforms. Well, IMF advising, if I'm to put it that way, the federal government to impose, I don't think that is the right word, imposing fuel taxes and telecom tax at the same time, with what we are currently experiencing in the country, with a lot of Nigerians still trying to come out of the removal of the fuel subsidy. Is that the way to go? Will the federal government listen and heed to this advice? Well, only time will tell, even though there are those who would say that it's not enough to tax people. How about we see what you are taxing the citizens for? And the federal government at some point reacting and saying that, yes, we are going to do all of the necessary things. I was also about going to borrowing, where they did say that borrowing is not a sin. But back to taxation, we need to see the dividend of the taxes affect an average Nigerian or the Nigerian man on the street. Well, away from that, let's look at the manufacturing sector. As we see a bit of interesting news, it says manufacturing sector contributes 329.59 billion naira to VAT revenue in the first quarter of the year 2026. Now, the Nigeria's manufacturing sector contributed 329.59 billion naira in value-added tax in the first quarter of the year 2026, maintaining its position as one of the country's largest sources of non-oil tax receipts, despite a slight decline in its share of economic output. So data from the National Bureau of Statistics, the NBS, showed that VAT generated from manufacturing activities increased from 286.95 billion naira recorded in the corresponding period of 2025, surpassed the quarterly contributions posted throughout last year. The latest performance comes as Nigeria's economy expanded by 3.89% year-on-year in the first quarter of this year, while the manufacturing sector accounted for 9.57% of real gross domestic product. Now, what really is this data saying? So manufacturing VAT collections have remained resilient over the past 5 quarters, reflecting sustained production and consumption activities across the sector. Manufacturing VAT stood at 286.95 billion naira in the first quarter of 2025. Collections increased to 297.69 billion naira in the second quarter of 2025 and 290.79 billion naira in the third quarter of the year 2025. The sector generated 292.12 billion naira in the fourth quarter of 2025 before rising to 329.59 billion naira in the first quarter of this year, 2026. Total VAT contributions from the manufacturing sector reached 1.17 trillion naira in 2025, compared with 803 billion naira recorded in 2024. The first quarter of 2026 figure represents an increase of about 14.86% compared to 286.95 billion naira generated in the corresponding quarter of 2025. Now, the data highlights the manufacturing sector's continued importance of Nigeria's tax revenue base despite prevailing economic challenges. Now, let's get up to speed. As it says, while VAT collections from manufacturing increased, the sector's contribution to the overall economy recorded a slight year-on-year decline. According to the NBS, manufacturing contributed 9.57% to Nigeria's real GDP in the first quarter of 2026. This was marginally lower than 9.62% recorded in the first quarter of the previous year, 2025. However, it represented a significant improvement from 7.4% contribution posted in the fourth quarter of 2025. Nigeria's overall economy grew by 3.89% year-on-year during the revenue period. The increase in VAT receipts may also reflect a stronger consumer demand, improved tax compliance, and the expansion of formal sector activities. Now, what you should know on this story is the fact that Nigeria has continued to prioritize manufacturing as part of a broader effort to diversify the economy away from oil dependence, which interestingly is a good thing if you ask me. Now, the sector remains one of the largest contributors to non-oil GDP and government tax revenue. We've said that already. Well, manufacturers continue to face challenges including high energy costs, foreign exchange constraints, infrastructure deficits, and elevated borrowing costs. Recent policy reforms aimed at improving the business environment and enhancing access to finance are expected to support industrial growth. Now, just recently, the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, has warned that Nigeria's economy cannot achieve durable structural transformation without a stronger manufacturing base. The CPPE went ahead to express concern over the 15.3% contraction recorded in the electricity and gas sector, describing it as the sharpest decline in recent years. According to the organization, the decline reflects persistent structural weaknesses across power generation, transmission, distribution, sector liquidity, and the most important of it all, governance. Now, it's interesting to see that we have all of this restraints that the manufacturing sector is facing in the country. Despite all of the restraints, they're still having a beautiful growth. Now, I feel like the federal government needs to, do more to help out manufacturing companies in Nigeria so that we see more persons wanting to invest in the manufacturing sector, aside hospitality, and the likes. And if the manufacturing sector can have the energy costs being fixed and a whole lot of other constraints that we highlighted during the course of this story, it's going to help a lot. And perhaps when we're looking at how it performed in the second quarter of the year, or at the end of the second quarter of 2026, would see a beautiful growth trajectory. Now, if you're just joining us, you're on to Business 360. right here on ITV. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll move on to the final laps of the show. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you're just joining you onto Business 360 right here on Independent Television. Now, we'll look at the foreign VAT collections. Well, still in VAT, foreign VAT collection, it did say that it did rise 83% year on year to 830.47 billion naira in the first quarter of the year 2026. Now, what does this mean for the economy right here in Nigeria? Let's find out. As it says, Nigeria's foreign value-added tax collections recorded significant growth in the first quarter of 2026, reflecting the expanding digital economy and improved compliance by non-resident service providers. Analysis of the data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, or compiled by Nairametrics, showed that the foreign VAT revenue rose to 830.47 billion naira in the first quarter of 2026, representing an increase of about 83% from 454.76 billion naira recorded in the corresponding period of 2025. The strong performance highlights the impact of the recent tax reforms aimed at broadening Nigeria's non-oil revenue base and strengthening the taxation of cross-border digital transactions. What does this mean for the Nigerian economy? Now, foreign VAT collections have maintained an upward trend over the past 5 quarters. According to the NBS, that's the National Bureau of Statistics, despite fluctuations that we get to see. Now let's take a look at how it performed in the first quarter of 2025 up until the fourth quarter. So according to data gathered from the NBS, in the first quarter of 2025, we saw the foreign VAT collection at 454.76 billion naira. In the second quarter of 2025, it stood at 459.95 billion naira. In the third quarter of 2025, it stood at 680.23 billion naira. And in the fourth quarter of 2025, 503.13 billion naira. Fast forward to the first quarter of 2026, collection of 830.47 billion naira represents the highest quarterly foreign VAT revenue recorded during the period under review, underscoring the growing contribution of imported services and digital transactions to government revenue. The steady increase suggests stronger tax administration and improved compliance by foreign companies providing services to Nigerian customers or Nigerian consumers, as the case may be. For context on this report, the growth in foreign VAT collections comes amid the implementation of the 2025 Nigeria Tax Act, which significantly expands the country's digital taxation framework and strengthen enforcement across both domestic and cross-border transactions. Under the legislation, all non-resident entities supplying taxable goods and services to Nigeria are required to register for tax purposes and charge VAT on eligible transactions. The law further stipulates that VAT applies to all taxable supplies made in Nigeria, including goods physically present, imported, assembled, or installed within the country, as well as rights and assets beneficial, owned, or exercisable in Nigeria. The Act also introduces provisions covering non-monetary transactions requiring VAT to be assessed based on market value in cases involving barter arrangements, gifts, and supplies between connected parties. In addition, fiscal authorities have strengthened enforcement mechanism, resulting in most foreign digital payments now attracting VAT deductions in local currency. Similarly, compliance requirements have also been extended to electronic financial services and digital payment channels, including banking and fintech transactions. What you should know on this is the fact that Nigeria has intensified efforts to modernize its tax administration as part of broader fiscal reforms aimed at improving revenue mobilization and expanding tax base. Foreign digital service providers offering services to Nigerian users are now required to comply with local VAT regulations. The Nigeria Revenue Service, NRS, in collaboration with the Joint Revenue Board, JRB, recently announced plans to commence implementation of the Taxpayer Identification System, the Tax ID, which will replace the existing TIN validation API. The initiative is expected to improve taxpayer identification, strengthen compliance, and enhance tax administration effectively. It was also earlier reported that the total VAT collection rose to 2.42 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2026, representing a 17.6% increase from 2.7 trillion naira generated in the corresponding period of 2025, with foreign VAT emerging as one of the fastest growing components of the country's non-oil revenue base. A whole lot of things has been said as regards this particular story, but just for emphasis, remember that the foreign VAT collection has risen to 83% year on year to 830.47 billion naira in the first quarter of 2026. So we're looking forward to how it's going to perform this time around at the end of the second quarter of this year, 2026, where we're beginning to see beautiful and amazing growth, a significant growth recorded in the first quarter. Let's hope that we can also maintain same momentum at the end of the second quarter, the third quarter, and also the fourth quarter of this year. Well, that's my beat on the show today. Thank you so much for being part of it. I am Anuoluwapo Stevens. See you on the next episode.
This is Aqua Game, a popular game in Africa played by our ancestors to entertain themselves after each day of farming. It is also relevant in our coronation in Africa. It is a sport and indeed very interesting, as every seed had a role in the game. Playtime is 45 minutes per set. There is no age limit as long as you can spin Aqua Seed. Ayo, or Aqua Game, known as the game of intellectual. This game requires a lot of mathematical skills. Aqua Game is played with carved wooden box containing 12 holes.
Certainly the best.
Africa is a great continent with diverse cultural heritage that made the continent unique, popular, and home to many. For instance, in Guinea, women played active role in masquerade dance, as the women dance around the women in an appropriate manner that creates fun and happiness in the community. This dance is closely connected with the traditional rhythms and music of the people of Guinea. This is the beauty of the masquerade dance. Africa societies, dance, songs, and music facilitates and promotes social values. The celebration of special events are major milestones. The performances of oral history and spiritual experiences involve masquerade dance performance as seen in all Africa societies to the delight of the people, as it increased joy and love among the inhabitants of the societies. Masquerade in African societies help to regulate social administration, social norms, and order, and create cultural values. A move round African communities reveal one unique thing, that is, African dance uses concept of polo rhythm and total body movement. The African dances are similar and almost the same, and they often use collective activity to perform in large groups, with significant interactions between the dancers and the onlookers. In Africa, traditional dances are collectively expressing the values and desires of the community. Although dances may seem spontaneous, they are usually choreographed. The dances are degenerate by sex, where gender roles play important role.
as olùkọ́fẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀.
Certainly the best.
Good afternoon. Welcome to your favorite weekly current affairs program, 60 Minutes Nigeria. My name is Erusa Agbonlao. It's always a delight to have you on the program weekly to dissect national issues. A lot is happening in Nigeria, and it will take collective effort to tackle the myriad of problems bedeviling Nigeria. We need to catapult Nigeria to enviable heights, and you and I need to do it. So everyone must contribute. It's not just enough to sit in one corner and criticize the government. You need to play your part. Well, I have in the studio today very distinguished personalities who will join me to present today's program. They will be dissecting the topic we have. We are looking at the role of citizens and traditional institutions in tackling insecurity. I have with us a very, very distinguished academics, a lecturer, and somebody who has made his mark in terms of cybersecurity. And he has also done well as a very renowned analyst. I introduce Dr. Maxwell Osagie. Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Okay.
We
also have with us the chairman of IPAC in Edo State, a former governorship candidate, Dr. Bishop Akalame. Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, National.
And I need to add, he's also an author and educationist as well.
I'm a chartered forensic accountant.
That's Dr. Akalame for you. We also have with us the special advisor to the Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly. He is also a very reputable politician, and is a man that has also made his mark in terms of the political space in Oredo and Edo State in general. Honorable Barrister Ben Omodio, nice to have you with us today.
Thank you and good afternoon.
Okay. And I must say that Omodio is one man that is, whenever he's talking, he must talk about Honorable, our very good friend, Oredo West. But today we don't allow you. Dr. Richard Edosa is a very good friend, and Ben Omodio is an associate to him. So, nice to have you with us today.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So, the background is that we must say kudos to His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Benin, Ewaye II, who has taken a very, very bold step in tackling insecurity in Edo State through the traditional means. On this program, some time ago, we had a guest who said that there is need to also introduce the traditional means in tackling insecurity. He said it on this program, and I must give that credit to him. His Royal Highness Bako Dogo made that statement on this program. But we are really delighted with what His Royal Majesty Ewaye II, the highly revered Oba of Benin, who is making us proud with the invitation of traditionalists. That was done. Again, he invited Odionwe, known as head of communities in Edo South, and the leaders of the youth, known as Okayele, in Edo South, to the palace of the Oba of Benin. And very, very meaningful deliberation had. And we understand that His Royal Majesty Oba of Benin has instructed Okayele to set up advisory committees in all the communities, comprising 5 to 10 members, all geared towards tackling insecurity. This is wonderful. Well, my guests will do justice to the topic, like I told you, and we're going to start with Dr. Maxwell Osagie. Now, insecurity is a monster. Insecurity has made Nigerians unable to sleep with their 2 eyes closed. Now, some persons say it's not just about government, citizens and traditional institutions. What's your take on this?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rosa. Viewers, once again, good afternoon. Whichever way we look at it, security, as we know, is everybody's thing. So it's not something that you could say it should be viewed from one angle. It's an holistic approach. So thank God for what is happening today, and where is a wake-up call for every one of us. You know, rather than we being proactive, over the years, we were sleeping. If we were actually proactive, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are today. But somewhere along the line, certain things happen to awaken the things in you to manifest that potential. As Nigerians, we have that potential to actually do that which is good. But over the years, we saw a bit of deviation from the norm. And when we were growing up, we used to sleep outside till 1 o'clock.
Yes, and
2 o'clock. Yes, so everybody stays outside. Yes. No, I remember my area, we can be in the next neighbor house for like till 12. Then we just be talking outside there. One, then before we go in and sleep, the following morning, everybody goes about their normal work and everything. But somewhere along the line, because in a way, government, because whether you like it or not, leadership is crucial in this manner.
Okay.
Whether everyone is doing their bit to ensure that there is security, the person who is supposed to provide that leadership, if they fail somehow, which is what has happened over the years. Now, when I was growing up, my father used to tell us that if you say something, say something. It was happening before.
Yes.
There is an adage in Benin, they will say only one person does not train a child, or only one person does not give birth to a child. What that means is that
yes.
So what that means is that when other parents sees you outside do something that is abnormal, they come home, they don't keep it to themselves.
They remind you.
They tell your parents.
Yes.
And the parents we have, they don't even try to cover up. They do the needful. So, but somewhere along the line, we've got it to a stage where you even see your neighbor doing X, Y, Z. You have to keep quiet, because if you get to, if you say something, the person you say it to, the police, that's where I talked about the leadership. The police you say it to will be the first person to tell the person that this is the person I had the thing from. And at the end of the day, the whole thing boomerang and come back to you. Then that was how the system started collapsing gradually. That you now get to a stage where everybody to your turn to Israel. What is everybody's turn? No matter how, what, we all need to wake up to it now. I think I will rest that for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Maxwell, for your opening remarks. Dr. Bishop Akalame, what's your take on this?
Tajula,
Yes.
it's a very big challenge. And as a matter of fact, the insecurity in Nigeria is a complex challenge that does not only require a government intervention. It is complex, and because of this, the civic responsibility of the people must come to play at this point.
Yes.
That the effort needed to combat insecurity in Nigeria is collective. The people, the traditional rulers, the security agencies, and of course the government. Now, if you bring the people in, the first line is the people.
Okay.
The more the number, the better the approach of fighting what insecurity, because they understand that terrain. Like I don't tell people, if you post a police officer to a village to help fight insecurity in that village, he will be running around circle. He will be tired because he does not understand the area. But by the time you begin to form this alliance, you liaise with the people who live within that grassroots, then fighting insecurity becomes what? History. I have always canvassed that if we must have peace in Nigeria, we must not leave the issue of insecurity in the hands of what? The policemen alone. The people have to get involved. The federal institution have to get what? Involved. Let me give you an example. If you go to 8 Circle, 9 Circle East, at the time, people cannot visit that area. I tell you that people will be sleeping. As you sleep, you just close one eye and one eye will be open. Like, there was I told
that must be magical.
Yeah.
To sleep.
At the point,
with one eye open.
Yes. That means you are no longer thinking about, oh, if I go to farm, I will be adopted. You are not thinking that they will be coming to meet me in my home. And at a point in time, they were actually invading people's homes. Like you are sleeping, they'll just go and move you. It has bad as that. I am telling you the truth. Now, it now got to a point that when the present government chairman came, then with the effort of the security, the vigilante in the community, you begin to see them enter the bushes. Do you know that you're going to discover that even in the community there's another but a subset community. Even in the village, in the what? In the bush. You go to the bush, you see community set up. Yeah, who are these people? That have been living here for a very long time, not knowing that there's another settlers, there are other settlers. Within the community,
yes.
You see, no, that you see them, they have bags, everything just going on there. What is all this? That is, you are here. Don't know that even the forest that is very close to your house, people are already settled down there, there. Then what are you people doing here? You don't have business staying inside the bush. If you love this area, what you do is that you come to inside the town, take a room, and start staying with us. Because as we speak right now, for the past how many months now, I have not heard any issue of what insecurity.
Were they dislodged from the forest?
Yeah, they have to be dislodged. Like 20, like giving like 2 weeks to 1 week to fucking go. If you can't stay within the city, then you can't stay within the town. You don't go back where you come from.
Yeah.
They are not allowed to stay in the forest.
Oh, yes. Let me tell you something. It still happened at the time of during Obaseki time. When Philip was deployed to Donut. Ensure that these people are out of the forest. They don't move out of the forest. Now, this have to do again. You see, this have to be very tough. Like the government just make a comment that the IPAC just back of reset. That if you do this, you pay the ultimate price. This says, message.
The government already issued a letter requesting for special costs from the Edo State Judiciary.
I tell you, he mean it. But the man I've seen, the issue of courtesy is diminishing in the state.
Yes.
That message alone has gone far. And when I pack in the state, we say, go ahead, we pack you. You kidnap, then you pay the price. You can't join the ancestors. You can't answer God. You're becoming or not becoming. So everybody has to start working right now. Like you said, if you see something, you say something.
Okay, thank you very much, Bishop. We'll come back to you. Honorable Ben Omodio, just shortly, before now, we've seen that apparently government, because there's, you are a lawyer, he said that the grand norm, it is the responsibility of government to ensure security of lives and property. It appears so many places just believe only government should be doing it. But we just saw our royal father, His Royal Majesty, Oba of Benin, highly revered. We just saw what he has done. Now, it means the traditional institution have a role to play. You want to start your opening remarks from that angle?
Thank you so much,
okay.
And good afternoon once more. Let me say a very big thank you to our father,
okay.
Because this is long overdue.
Okay.
Long overdue. Let me also thank the governor of Edo State. The man matches words with action.
Yes.
And that's why for the past few days now, or months, you've not heard anything. Everybody is silent, because when you see a man that is ready to do something, nobody will tell you to think twice, just like what the Oba of Benin have done. You remember the last time I came to this studio, I said that the Okaigilis, they have a role to play.
Yeah, you said it.
Whether anybody likes it or not, they don't need to pretend about it, that they don't know what is happening in their communities.
Yeah.
Every one of them know what is happening in their communities. And that is why I love what the Oba of Benin has done by bringing them in. Come now, this is what I want in my domain, and you must do it. Because the Okaigelo that you are parading yourself with, I gave you this title, so you must do what I want. And this is exactly what we have been calling in for a very long time. So just like I will align myself with my other brothers, the citizens, every one of us, we have a role to play. Yes, the government have a bigger role to play because they have been disposed with a lot of equipment and facilities to do so. But we have a role to play, because if you are not a victim, which we don't pray for, you will not even really understand what is going on. My wife happened to be a victim of armed robbery. You get me? So I understood what it means to put a gun. You have seen your wife with a gun on her head. So nobody will tell you that scenario is still fresh in my memory. Yeah. That is why I love
very traumatic.
Yes, and that's why I love what the governor is saying. Since you want to quickly go and meet your ancestors, don't worry, commit this crime and wait for me and see what I will do. And I love the transmission of the letter to the to the Chief Judge of Edo State. I believe and I pray that there should be a speed action so that this menace can be at least reduced to a barest minimum.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ben Omodion. I must admit here once again that we've seen that the traditional institution can play a pivotal role in actually helping the community. The various youth leaders, Okagili, they have energy, they are energetic, and they can play, they can do a lot because they are actually in charge of the youths in the various communities. And we've seen what our royal father has done. Each of the Okagili is expected to set up advisory committee in their communities. We are going to monitor that so that this advisory committee made up of 5 to 10 persons will join the Okagili in tackling security. We don't want insecurity again. If Edo State must move forward, if Nigeria must move forward, insecurity must be tackled. We saw that embarrassing situation at the vegetable market, Benin City, on a Sunday, and we've seen the action of the Edo State Police Command. Kudos to the Edo State Police Command for that swift action, and of course, kudos to His Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, Distinguished Senator Modu Okpebholo, who gave that instruction to the Commissioner of Police Edo State to tackle that incident at the vegetable market. And we've seen the result, we've seen the outcome. That is the way it should be. Gentlemen, we'll continue with Dr. Maxwell. Now, we've seen what the governor did with the State Police Command in terms of that vegetable market incident. And that seemed to show that the governor really is serious in tackling security. With the letter again that he has sent to the Chief Judge, special courts to try culprits. What's your reaction to this?
You know, thank you. In my first, in my remark, when I told you, I said leadership. You know, so that leadership speaks volume.
Yes.
Now, in all ramification, everything rises and falls on leadership.
Okay.
So if this country will be good tomorrow or will not be good tomorrow, lies on leadership.
Okay.
So in as much as we are asking everybody to do X, Y, Z, if you take it, because you cannot take laws into your hands, even if you see all these people and you say all these people, by the time the citizens don't see the translation of this action by all the Okagili and everything, government putting more pressure and power to ensure that justice take its course. What has led to this insecurity till date is because injustice has become norm over time. That somebody commit crime because he's close to one political godfather. Now we have played politics so much with insecurity that we began to look at insecurity as like the second part of politics. Now it's becoming dawn on us that, oh, the food that you cooked yesterday and in a halfway that wasn't done enough is reacting to the people who ate it now. So with what we are seeing from the governor is long overdue. Yes, I thank him right from the day one the governor entered office. I knew he's a man from that says something and do the same thing. Now I noticed that when he first suspended his Attorney General Osage, I was like, wow. After how many more, just suspend Attorney General and everything. To me, it was like, when you see a governor that put action to works like this, then the people sit down and try to do the needful. So what has played out is that we have government over the years, president, governor, senator, and everything, who just say something for saying sake, not back with action. So with what we have seen the governor doing is a message to all of us that if you don't sit well, you receive whatsoever you want to receive. Let me give you this joke. I was in a place where we're just talking and everything. The guy now said, hey, this way you kidnap. I say, the governor don't hear my house, they will just scatter around. Now you see, just like joke. He said, I don't go. Let governor know here I come and destroy my house. And I don't know when I want to do that other way again. So you could get those kind of things. Now by the time such tendency began to sink into us, unconsciously or consciously, everybody is guided that, oh, if I want to add, no, there is something that says there is repercussion. Everybody deviate from it. I think we need more of what the governor is doing along all the 36 states in the federation. Because what we looked at as something happening in the northeast has suddenly encroached into all angles. Because we have people who were sympathizers, leaders who were sympathizers. Someone telling you that terrorists is not they should call them, the name they are calling them is not. Someone kills someone, you are telling call him bandit. Oh, excuse me, that's a terrorist, that's a killer. And the scripture says, who kill by sword will die by sword. So let us not, one way or the other, try to look at this thing from a political perspective and say, no, and everything, etc., etc. These people have killed, they deserve to be killed. So if you commit crime, governor, kudos to you. We need more of that, more of the action. Ensure that every word that you have said, as you have been doing it, you continue to do it. The people are looking, we are looking. And when the time comes, we know how to reward good things. We are not talking about manipulating election vote now or manipulating result. We are talking about people coming out willingly from their mind, willingly from their heart, saying, expressing their franchise in terms of what the governor has done so far because of the truth. Nothing will happen. You cannot eat well. Go and find out. Among the goals of the FDG, one of them is that reduce poverty. How do you reduce poverty if you cannot go to the farm to eat?
Yes.
If you cannot go to the farm to farm. So reducing poverty means that you have to create the security first that will enable people to go. When I heard, was it not in Zamfara, when some 50 elderly men went to the bush to go and dialogue with the bandit and said, we want to start farming and everything, only 11 came back. So the question here was that, they knew where they were, so 50 went, 11 came back. So federal government, what are we talking about? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bishop Akalame, you are a politician, a former governorship aspirant. And so you're also the chairman of IPAC, political parties, you know. There's accusation against the political class. Some persons believe that the politicians contributed to the insecurity that we have in this country. I want to react to that.
Heavily.
Well, you see, like we, as a forensic accountant, I don't deal with insinuations.
Okay.
We deal with evidence. If you say something, do you have what to back it up? A lot of people have been saying that if you go to social media, you see all these things, some security are politically motivated. But me, I am not totally saying that it cannot happen. But a situation where you don't have an evidence to back it up, rather not say it. Because he who cannot prove what he has asserted is in trouble. Now, what I need to say here is it's not far-fetched. Is that parents, talk to your children. Because what we are discussing, government, fire security, security agent, fire security. Like yesterday, there's one video now that has gone viral. People are reacting to it that one police officer was waving at bandits. When I was driving that way, I thought I said, come on, what do you expect that your part to do?
There's nothing you can do.
What do you expect that your part to do? To go at that, you see the number of those guys that were not coming in with all these sophisticated weapons. So the best thing he could do was to wave at them. So because if you don't do that, you don't go. You can't take care of. If you go, who will take care of your children? You have to protect yourself. What we need to do is that when we are looking at issues, let's look at the remote cause of our problem. Let's go to the grassroots. Where is people coming from? Because what we are doing now, we are fighting symptoms. And all the approaches we are trying to deploy to solve them are cosmetic. Because there's a way, even those guys in the bush, you push them, they will go. After some time, they will come back again. That means we are fighting symptoms. So the solutions are cosmetic. What do? We go to the root. What is the root? Parents, talk to your children. Let me digress a little. I was in one eatery. After eating, I said, let me just observe for 20 minutes. All the young boys that was coming here to eat, who is not colored dread, he has plaited hair like a woman, and he must pierce their ear. Earring must be here with their oversized polo and oversized trouser.
Maybe they are celebrities.
I'm telling you about all the boys that we are coming there in about the 20 minutes I spent.
And they have nothing to eat.
They were just like that. So that's to tell you that no, Parents are failing in their duty and responsibility in raising children. A young man supposed to be in the university, thinking of how to get a PhD in one particular profession, is only thinking how to ride a car. You see the message? A student, a young man of 24 years will be thinking of what skill will I acquire now to create a value that will push me out of that, give me financial freedom when I'm 40 or 45 years. He's thinking of what will I do now? That means he's putting the cat before the cat before the horse. What can I do now to get a car? You know, and tell the people that I have arrived. When you have only the foundation, that will give you those things naturally. That's what we have right now. And we're in trouble. Then by the time they do one or two things and they hammer, they won't go about.
What's the meaning of hammer? You need to tell her what's the meaning of hammer.
When you use hammer to hit something.
Go and make more money out of proportion. That's how I have arrived. By the time they now buy that car, they don't have a stable source of income to maintain.
To even maintain it, they will drive it for 1 year, bro.
You'll be thinking of where
I want to rob.
Mr. Agbalawa has kept his money. Let me go and quickly take it so that I can repair my car, so that my car will be on the road. That is what we are talking about. You don't have a source of income. You want to live like a big man. Sometimes I go to eat tree, I want to eat something. You see those small children, the kind of food they will buy. Me that is making money, I can't buy it. They begin to pity their parents. That's what I did.
You are right. You are right.
So how did we get here? So we keep blaming the government, keep blaming police officers, blaming everybody. Parents, talk to your children.
Thank you very much.
That's where we are now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bishop Kalame. I hope you are enjoying the program. It is 60 Minutes Nigeria, and we are grateful to you for spending part of your 60 minutes with us, or your entire 60 minutes with us on the program. We'll take a break now. After that, Honorable Barrister Ben Omodio has a lot to say. To have you back on the program. It is 60 Minutes Nigeria. My name is Erusa Agbonlao. I have in the studio Dr. Maxwell Osaige, Dr. Bishop Kalame, and of course Honorable Ben Omodio. We are really emotional because insecurity has become a monster bedeviling the growth, the development of Nigeria, and it must be tackled. Well, Ben Omodio, yeah, you've made some very credible comments about what's the way forward. We've seen what the traditional institution has done. Do you think that will really tackle insecurity? Or you think other measures should also be taken?
I think we must start somewhere.
Okay.
A journey of 1,000 miles must start somewhere.
Yeah.
The government have set the template, which we will always say thank you to the governor of Edo State.
Okay.
He has done well when it comes to this issue. Now, the Oba of Benin has followed suit, but the bottom line still remains that the citizens still have a bigger role to play. Because I said it the last time I came here also, that this crime they are all local. No crime is foreign. They all start from a community. The people who perpetrate this crime, they live in community, or you harbor a stranger in your community to help you carry out this evil. So the way forward is just every one of us to be sincere to ourselves.
Okay.
Our children, we should check what our children are doing. That's very important. Like I by God's grace, I have grown-up children who are in university, and some of them also play football.
Okay.
Now, when they come home with anything that
doesn't belong,
listen, I ask them question. They are adult too.
Yeah.
We talk like when we have boys.
You know, you started early.
I say, guy.
You started early.
I say, guy, how far this thing? What is going on? Because the idea says, tell me, how did you get it?
Yes.
When he gives me an explanation that is very clear, I will now do my findings. I don't stop there.
Yes.
I do my findings because I've told my children, if you find yourself in any place that maybe you commit a crime, I will not come to the station. I told them,
My dad
but my
never
late father
went.
did not come to
My
station to
father
give me
never
money.
went.
So I will not come to the station.
Yeah.
I will leave you to face the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will come up plain to tell the world that I am his father.
Yeah.
Nami, I am the one who gave birth to him. I did not send him this. So let him face the penalty. Maybe by the time he spends 4 times, God forbid, he will not realize that, oh, what my father was telling me, this is how it's supposed to be. So the traditional institutions, not only that, you know, the last time I said, both the religious institution, every one of us. So buckle up. The way forward is just very simple. Let every one of us be ready to say something. When we see something, let's say something.
Yes.
When my brother is not doing well, let's say it.
I'm going to interject. You just mentioned something of interest. Now, we've seen what the traditional institution has done. You just mentioned the religious bodies.
Yes.
I know that Dr. Osage is a man of God. He's a clergyman. Apart from being an academic, he will talk on it, but you will start it. If any young man decides to dedicate a car, are you saying the pastor should investigate and say, young man, what are you doing? How did you get this car? The value of this car is so much, and you have not even finished university. Should the pastor go to that extent, or just say, thank you for coming, you are just offering thanks to God? What do you think the religious bodies should do?
The religious body, I thank God you just mentioned him.
Yeah, he's going to talk.
I know him is a bishop, and by God's grace, I'm also.
No, he's not a clergyman. His name is Bishop, but he's not a clergyman.
We are doing today. So, as a religious organization,
Okay.
you have to be very contented as a pastor. When a pastor is contented, you're able to speak the truth to the people.
Okay.
Because sometimes when most of these people are not contented, they are after money, they don't care about what their flocks do.
Yeah.
So far, just bring the money in. So, as a pastor, when you see somebody honorably that you know, or maybe you think otherwise, ask question. There's nothing wrong as a pastor. If I'm your pastor, I should be able to ask you question. I have a pastor.
Okay.
My pastor sometimes call me, Benedict, I don't like what you are doing. I say, Daddy, what is that? He will say, I noticed that this thing is like this. Oh, sorry, sir. I will explain to you. So, okay. Even the last program I came to this studio, he said, I love this area. He said, I'm watching it. Please, make sure you keep the value. Now, what is he trying to tell me? That I'm following you up, even if I'm not your biological father.
Yes.
But in as much as you have submitted to my leadership, you should able to follow my teaching, at least to a certain level. So what am I trying to say? Let every pastor, bishop, imam, everybody ask questions. When you ask questions, there's nothing wrong. See, if you ask questions, if I ask you some question, if you are not genuine, you walk away from the church.
Yes.
Because you know that I will be able to tell the authority that this person, I don't understand how this
He
person
has
is.
questionable character.
That is just it.
Thank you very much. We just ask Dr. Maswe now. He's a clergyman. What's your comment on that? Because we've seen that there are allegations that some pastors will even encourage so-called persons who are not doing right so far they can bring money. We've heard of such accusations.
Also, what happened to our modern day politics is what has happened to church.
Okay. Maybe you want to tell us.
Yeah,
happened?
there were a time where we had people going to politics to serve, not the money.
Okay.
So when suddenly the service left, the money takes over, we saw that our political terrain becomes so bitter. Same thing. We have many persons who have called themselves into the ministry.
Okay.
There are no measures by human to actually validate how God called you and how God did not call you.
Okay.
So, because of that, we have more people who are hungry, even babalawos who have removed the red cloth, now wore suit. Third, maybe people are no longer coming, open a church.
And become prophets.
And become prophets. We have a lot of them like that. So they don't care. It's just all about the money and the money and the money. And these same people goes there and do the needful. You say they don't know the difference. Pastor said, it's only you and I that are grounded that knows the difference. But those people who are, they don't know. So where I wouldn't say let there be a regulation to that. Because it's supposed to be a free willism thing and everything. But be that as it may, truly speaking, as he said, if somebody brings 10,000 to you, and you know that person does not do one tangible job, because as a pastor in a church, you know those who work,
of course,
and those who doesn't work,
of course.
You know those who have business and those who doesn't have business. If someone that sits in his house from morning to evening, he does nothing, and you call for an offering, he gives you car or he gives you certain amount of money, it is your duty as a good clergyman to call that person, sit down. Sit down. I once said here, if God that created the world and can say in the book and say, let's come and reason together, it tells you of the importance of my choice. Yes. It tells you of the importance of my choice, that there is need for we to harmonize, synergize, so that we can arrive at a valid conclusion. So what we have seen over time is that there is a deviation, a total dichotomy from the norm of what we used to see those days. I want to ride car, I want to wear good suit, just like my, I want to, at a point we're hearing, I want to buy jet. Pastor want to buy jet. So these things started playing in the minds of all these babalawo, which you call pastors now, that are ravaging that particular sector.
But we see what Governor of Anambra Soludo is doing now. Should that come to place
measures that can help sanitize, because all these things are they are what we call the element of insecurity, whether you like it or not. Because as we speak, see, the last reform that was done in Nigeria Police Force was 2017. Was 2017. And in that reform, a lot of things were said. Those things that were said till date, we are still facing them. Because government on their own part, you agree with me. See, this, I don't owe anybody apology for this. 8 years of Buhari regime was like we went back 60 years. 60 years. So there was no meaningful contribution to the development or developmental strive of Nigeria as a country. So I was speaking to some of my colleagues this morning. I said, how come that we cannot just say for 3 years, we just say, oh, Nigeria has gotten this part right. Oh, Nigeria has gotten the educational sector right. Oh, Nigeria has gotten the health sector right. Or Nigeria has gotten the power sector right. So year in, year out, we just have the security right. How come we constantly just lament all these things without having a forward movement to some of all these things? As we speak, the same value that we had in police force is now up to 250,000 in Nigeria today. How many? By the UN doctrine, it's supposed to, in terms of ratio, it's supposed to be 1 to 400. 1 to 400. But as we speak, it's like one police force to like 40,000 Nigeria. So how do you expect some of all these things to play out? Thank God for what the Senate has done and for what the House of Rep has done. Well, I'm not thanking them. Let me thank the executive, because they are the ones that are supposed to initiate this. But hearing that the executive are not the ones sending a B to them, then you now ask, who are you now representing? So, well, be that as it may, we've gotten here. The B has been passed by them, just waiting for ratification by all the state assemblies and the pending signature of the president. So let's now focus. Let's believe that with all this, there will be proper monitoring. At least this is not the issue of sending Mohammed to Ugoni Okoriomo, who knew nothing in Ugoni Okoriomo. So if you get some boys in Ugoni Okoriomo, recruit them. That is your area. If anything happens,
you are in
That's
Ugo.
under the state police.
Yes, under the state, you are in Ugo. So if anything happen in Ugo, you are in charge. So if you also, just like what the Oba of Benin has done now, if this, oh, you are in charge in this area, if anything happen in this area, you is your area, so we should ask you, then that will continue to bring sanity to some of all these things. In terms of what you said, going back to the clergy part of receiving offering from those you are not supposed to receive from, it's not something that we can remove now because it has eaten deep and deeper into the society. But we will continue to talk. And we'll continue to foster
Thank you very much.
That
Dr. Bishop Akalame, now the issue of state police has cropped up again, and we're happy the Senate has played its role. The House of Representatives started even before the Senate. Now state houses of assembly and all of that, will play their role. As a way forward, do you think that's the way forward?
For some time now, I've always campaigned that we need to empower our local vigilante.
Yeah, you've always said that.
It's
Yeah.
not different from the
State police.
Because in the creation of state police, to me, is duplication of efforts. We need money. We say we don't have money in this country. When we create state police, we're going to pay them. Where is the money?
So there's money.
I'm coming.
Politician has money.
I'm coming. They say there's no money. When they say there's no money, then we need to make sure that the scarce resources we have, we deploy it appropriately for maximum benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, what we need to do, we have police already. Let's equip them more. Buy new vehicles for them.
But have you not seen even in Edo State, government buying vehicles for them?
And after 2 years, we don't hear anything.
Don't hear anything again. Okay.
Let them be well equipped. Then their welfare, increase their. How can a police officer be receiving 120,000 naira? Increase their welfare package.
How much is the minimum wage?
No, I'm coming. These are people. These are essential services. These are essential services. You will be sometimes you'll be at home. You're on holiday. I never see police officers go on holiday.
Media people are also essential workers. How much are media people paid?
I know. I'm coming. So the government have to pay attention to these people. This is not creating state police. Let each government, state government, take care of the local vigilante. Let me give you an example. I will use my local government to give you this Sako East. And I still tell you, there's a young man there now in anti-capacity. When he came, he had to reactivate the local vigilante. He moved with them. I watched him. He moved with them into the bushes.
I think I watched one of such clips. Yeah.
He moved with them to the bushes. The police officers are there. Sometimes you see some of the police officers and they accompany them, but the vigilante, because they know the terrain, they understand what is going on there. So they move into the bush to ensure that the people are secure. So I think that is what the government should do, because why I don't always support the state police is that I don't want to secure by some desperate politicians will now use this as an advantage during the election.
I heard that the governors have been empowered under the arrangement to appoint the commissioners of the state police.
It has to be.
See, I am telling you, what I'm telling you now is my own opinion.
Yes.
The way I see it.
Yes.
Because we have some persons who are just desperate. They want to hold on to power. I don't want them to be using it as instrument to ensure that they win elections. That is my way. The state government, just like the Edo State governor is doing, they should empower their local vigilante. The local government chairman, they have to ensure they are doing their work right now.
Yeah.
Just like I just mentioned it. So if Esther Collins is working, Esther Concentra is working, the body of the governor will be less. Nobody will be talking about the president himself. So we need to start doing something at the moment so that everybody will see. Do you know as it starts right now? Majority cannot travel on the road. You know, you go to the airport, you are going for a business that will give you profit of 300,000 naira. Maybe when you go and cut 300,000 naira to take care of the family, and now you are scared to take the road, or you don't take the road. All those boys will just take you and begin to give you knock inside the bush. Then you have to go to the airport. So you want to take a flight. A flight will take you at least a minimum of maybe 450 to 500,000 naira. So that alone has swallowed your profits. So that is not worth doing. So it's better you stay at home than to even travel to Strasbourg without getting anything at all. It's as bad as that. You see, it has crippled our economies. We are not paying attention to that. I want to send a message to the governor of Edo State. Thank you so much, because from the very beginning, I said from the money tells the day.
Okay.
No, when I saw this man for the very first time, I saw humility, because it takes a man with humility to listen to the people.
Yeah.
When you listen to the people, you don't need to be told what to do. You know, in this Edo state, during Christmases like this, you know how courtesan matter used to be.
Yeah.
But today the thing has calmed down. There's this reawakening that we don't need to go this way. When we take over this kidnapping issue, I can tell you that it's a very strong message you have sent. And I can tell you, as we speak right now, Edo State will become one of the safest states in Nigeria. And I want to say to him that we, in the Interparty Advisory Council, we give him all the necessary support. But what we want to do is that he can also recruit our youth to be what? The forest guard, about 2,000. Deploy them to each local government and push all these elements out of our forest. So that when you are driving, you are going traveling, you will not be scared. Many times when I was going, if I go home, if one or two vehicles doesn't pass me, I will just park.
Thank you, Mitchell.
I just park. Yeah. You are seeing one or two coming before. Let me say this one to you again.
Yes.
The other day I went to a innovation hall. I was just driving. I parked my vehicle. One guy was just looking at me like this. Then he stopped. I was looking at him.
Everybody is not looking at each other. Or your road to destiny, everybody is a suspect.
Each other. If I drive past you, if you look me inside the you have to.
Thank you very much. Well, your concluding remarks.
Well, on the issue of state policing,
yes,
it's a welcome development.
Okay.
There will always be fears of abuse of power, but you saw that there are clauses inside that laws that the federal police and the National Assembly can step in. You cannot expect the state police, or when they create, when it come into existence, that you don't expect them to be involved in national elections. There will be a parameter. Everybody knows their rules, where this federal matter, the national police takes over and so forth. But having said that, let us allow it to come on board. They will work side by side. The vigilante will still be there. Whether the forest guard will still be. Let me also tell you, most of these people, they don't live in forests. The buildings you saw the governor bringing down, are they in forests?
No.
They are in our communities. Most of the people live very close to you and I. So we need this state policing. People in your locality, we need every one of them on board. When they come on board, you will see that we'll push them a little bit far. And let me also correct something we said here earlier concerning there's a training video that the policeman saw some people moving with bikes, they were waving them. Let me tell you, I took time to x-ray that this thing. I discovered that, I think I have a publication from the police there, that news is a fake news. That those people were vigilantes going their normal routine and all that. But however, I don't quick in submitting to social media because there are a lot of damages being done to our society through the social media. I'm not, social media is good though, it's very, very good, but there are a lot of disadvantages from our young men. So we welcome state policing, and we also pray that every governor should always have the mind to appoint the right persons. For our governor here, I believe the man will always do the right thing because he has already set the template and he's not waiting for the federal. You know, we say federal. You collect security votes. Local government collect security votes. What are they doing with it? So we should ask ourselves this question, and I believe that our governor will always give us the very best.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Dr.
I think
Mark,
security is a multi-layer approach.
Okay.
So there is nothing like it too much. Let me use that word. Okay. So the more, the merrier. Bring all of them on board. What matters is that our lives are secure.
Thank you very much. Quick one, Bishop Akalame.
No, we are not yet there yet, but we'll be there. So we need to work on ourselves. We are too in a hurry. Nigerians are too in a hurry. You can even see it in the way they drive, the way they talk, the way they approach issues. We should calm down. Things will get better.
So, Nigerians, calm down. Always be calming down. On that note, thanks for being a part of this week's edition of 60 Minutes Nigeria. Do have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
ITV. Certainly the best.
This is Ahwe Game, a popular game in Africa played by our ancestors to entertain themselves after each day of farming. It is also relevant in our coronation in Africa. It is a sport and indeed very interesting, as every seed had a role in the game. Playtime is 45 minutes per set. There is no age limit as long as you can spin Ahwe seed. Ayo or Ahwe game, known as the game of intellectual. This game requires a lot of mathematical skills. Ahwe game is played with carved wooden box containing 12 holes.
The threat of global warming is real. You have seen the destruction of lives and property as a result of incessant flooding. Make the environment a conducive place for all to live in. Stop polluting the environment. Protect the environment today. This message is brought to you courtesy Independent Television and Radio.
ITV, certainly the best.
Viewers, once again, we welcome you to Message of Islam, reaching you from Independent Television. Inshallah, today, we want to look at a vital topic. Simply put, position of Islam on oppression. Position of Islam on oppression. We have oppressive tendencies common on the land. It has been like that, and it's still ongoing. What is the position of Islam on oppression? Today's vital topic, I have with me this evening in the studio. Close to me, on my left, is Ustaz Sani Abdulhafiz. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me.
And on my far left is Malam Nuruddin Asunoge. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, viewers.
Alhamdulillah. Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Now, I want to look at this topic. The stand of Islam on oppression. Let me start with you, Ustaz Sani Abdulhafiz. When we talk of oppression, what exactly are we looking at?
Alhamdulillah, we give praise to Allah and we send Allah's peace and benediction upon the noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we talk of oppression in Islam, the simple word you use for qualifying oppression is azulum. Now, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, azulumu zulumatu yawm al-qiyamah. That oppression is going to be shades of darknesses on the day of judgment for the one who has perpetuated it. So, oppression is about using your power, your position, your level, so to say, to deal with people who are of lower rank than you in a way and manner that is unfair. Using your force to maybe take from them what is not yours, or take from them what is theirs and give it to those to whom it does not belong. All of this is oppression. Or just, making a people become deprived of what ordinarily is supposed to be theirs, and they cannot cry to nobody about this. This is oppression. It can happen between a husband and a wife. It can happen between parents and children. It can happen between government and their followers, leaders, kings, and their community members. Oppression can happen between directors and their subordinates in offices. It can happen at different levels. Oppression is to use your position wrongfully to treat a people the way they are not supposed to be treated.
Alhamdulillah. Oppression. Where Islam said in one tradition that we should help the oppressed as well as the oppressor. And the companions of Prophet Islam, the Sahaba, were surprised that Prophet Islam should ask them to help the oppressed as well as the oppressor. So, Allah, we are going to throw more light on that tradition. Yeah. Position of Islam on oppression.
Thank you. Like Sani had said, the tendency to gratify that proclivity that tends to make you to seek to dominate and control others is what oppression is. So horrendous the whole issue of oppression is that even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is regulated by no laws or rules, had said in one of the exalted statements to the Prophet Islam that he, Allah, criminalizes, anathemizes the issue of oppression for himself. And consequently, he has done that for any human being on the surface of the earth. And so when the Prophet Islam made the statement requesting that you help either the one who is the oppressor or the one that is being oppressed, his followers were in appreciation of the fact that if one became a victim of oppression, by virtue of the fact that that individual was being oppressed, he was deserving of the attention, the compassion, and the assistance of those persons around him to help manumit him from the one that oppresses. But they were obviously scandalized by the invitation to now assist the one who was himself or herself the oppressor. And so they sought to know from the Prophet, yes, we understand why we should help the one who is oppressed, but how are we going to help the one who is not the oppressor? He said, you help the one who is the oppressor by removing from him the instrument that enables him to be the oppressor. You withdraw that instrument from that individual. In other words, for example, if I were a police officer, taking advantage of the fact that I am a police officer or a military officer, and I begin to, intimidate and to oppress others, every other person that is not the victim. In other words, what the Prophet was saying, you needn't become a participant in the physicality of an experience that mortifies before you get involved in wanting to extricate whoever had been so entangled. That if an officer, for example, has oppressed somebody and you became aware, then you are supposed to give voice to that who is voiceless until it gets to a point where such an officer is relieved of the capacity to be able to continually oppress that individual or any individual. That was the context in which the Prophet Islam made the statement. And it was a statement that was supposed to be given a pragmatic expression to. So you become involved in the oppression of another person if you were to remain taciturn in the face of oppression.
Thank you very much. Viewers, if you are just joining us, we are looking at the topic, position of Islam on oppression. Islam said, help the oppressed as well as the oppressor. To help the oppressed, save him from oppression, and to help the oppressor withhold his hand from oppression. Now, Prophet Islam said one other traditions, that beware of the cry of the oppressed, for between it and Almighty Allah there is no barrier. Beware of the cry of the oppressed. No. So what can you tell the oppressors who have the ability to oppress and go away with this on earth?
Now, there is no, ways for emphasizing the crime of oppression that you can find anywhere than the ways the Prophet Islam has used. No. The statement is a threat to say that the one who is being oppressed may appear apparently powerless. No. He may not be able to defend himself. No. But if he cries out, Allah will take revenge on his behalf. There is no shield. That's the statement Prophet Islam used. There is no barrier. Yes. There is no screen between the cry of the oppressed and Allah. It means that whatever he asks for is granted. You want him to destroy the person that has oppressed you, it will be granted. So that when people were sometimes powerful, and there's some other times they are visited by some, some calamities in life. Sometimes you are asking the question, how come? What happened? How is he going down this way? It could be some cries some oppressed person somewhere by this same person have made, and Allah listen to that. Don't think that the consequence or the prayers, the cries of the oppressed not be granted in, instantaneously means that the matter is ended. No, it could just be that Allah is waiting to deal with you at the time that you most little expected. So that the one who is oppressing another, either by virtue of how much he has in his account. You are a landlord, you are oppressing your tenants because they live in your house. They can't breathe because you are the landlord. You are a boss in an office. Those who are under you are always scared because of your, the way you do with them. This is not, you deny somebody what belongs to him. He does not talk. If he talks, then he will get more than what he has already got. If they go in secret to say, Allah, deal with this person with what he deserves, Allah will deal with him. That is enough to checkmate the one who has the tendency to want to oppress others. No. You should be afraid of what this person may do. You are oppressing your wife. She cannot do anything. The only one she can talk to is Allah. No. When Allah was addressing the husband and the wife in the settlement, he said, فَلَا تَبَغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا. After your wife has not done any crime, do not find any way of oppressing them. Inna Allah kana aliyan kabira. Because Allah is higher than whoever you think you are. And he is greater than whoever you think you are. Don't allow Allah to deal with you.
Thank you very much. Don't allow Almighty Allah to deal with you. You see, you have oppressed someone, you felt you are bigger than. And the person says, there is God. I hand you over to God. Go and apologize. Go and beg the person. But if the person says, if the person starts threatening that he will do this and do that to you, you should be relaxed. But if you answer over to God, you better go and beg the person. Islam says that you should not even oppress anybody, even if he's an unbeliever, because Allah will come to his head. Elsewhere, Prophet Islam said, Allah will tell the oppressed, I will come to your aid, even though it will be after a while. And although Allah may give respite to the oppressed, but if Allah gets hold of him, he will not let him go. So if you have been oppressing, and you are still oppressing, better quickly go and repent. Those who have oppressed, go and apologize to them before Almighty Allah will get hold of you. Pharaoh was oppressive. The Israelites were there. He was oppressing them. And eventually, we need this. So can you please tell us more about oppression?
Yeah, Pharaoh that you refer to had described himself that I am the Lord Most High. Yeah. That was the apogee of his hubris in the dealing with those who were under him. And so today we have different pharaohs in different positions of authority. An investigating officer, a police or EFCC or DSS will tell you the file is before me. What I decide in this matter is what will go. You can't do nothing. And so he decides and says that you who was supposed to be right, you are now the one who is wrong. He said you can go to places and burn. But meanwhile, he is himself on a peregrination to that place where he will burn perpetually. Now, Pharaoh ultimately got doomed as a consequence of this oppression. Wow. The Prophet ﷺ, appreciating the danger in wanting to perpetuate oppression, even when it was inadvertently done. When he knew that he was coming to the end of his embassy on the surface of the earth,
Yeah.
he had had a colloquy with those who were his companions. And he said, to the best of his knowledge, he had not studiously wronged anyone. But that was not to say that he may not have acted in a way that oppressed some persons.
No.
And so one of the companions said, Ya Rasulullah, on a particular day, you were asking us to straighten our rows, because as Muslims, you straighten the rows before you pray. And so while I was still there, you poked me with an object you were holding. And so you did that to me, and for me, that had oppressed me. And so the Prophet said, you have the opportunity of taking your pound of flesh today, because it's much better for me if you did that.
No.
And he said, I wasn't putting on anything. What you have will mitigate the pain that you would suffer in comparison to the one I whatever. And so the Prophet raised up his dress to say, okay, do to me what I did to you, because I'm afraid of meeting Allah, and that stands against me as an act of oppression against you. And so the man said, naturally, all of those who were there were angered by the effrontery of this man wanting to hit the Prophet back. And he said, oh, Messenger of Allah, I will not dare to hit you. I just wanted to kiss you, and began to kiss the same spot where he had whatever. But the point the Prophet had made as commander-in-chief of the armed forces, whose authority was infinite, nobody was going to question his authority. If he snapped his finger and said, you are dead, the person is dead. The Prophet appreciated what it was for an individual to go with a mindset that you have oppressed me. And so today you find people who are in positions of authority ask that people get vaporized because they say, we are here. Whether you get your requital in this world or the world that is to come, the Prophet Islam says that is a certainty from which there is no escape. No. That a day is coming when you will meet with your Lord and you will carry truckloads, homologous, highly prodigious, stupendous loads on your head. And all of that will be load arising from the wrong that you have done to people on the basis of the authority you exercise. And you said, absolutely nothing. Go tell whomever you want to tell. I could kill you, nothing will happen. I could pulverize whatever it is that you have. And so we do all this. We oppress people, and you could even oppress people by talking to them. I'm talking, and you dare to talk. Will you cease to be quiet there? And so you find that in a relationship between teachers, students, how dare you talk? Let me see how you pass this course.
Thank you very much. Viewers, we are looking at the very vital topic, as we said, position of Islam on oppression. You can see that Islam condemns oppression in its entirety. Let's start in one tradition that whosoever has transgressed against his brother on earth, if you have oppressed your brother on earth, try to seek amend on earth before that day, that is the day of judgment, day of consternation, when there will be neither gold or silver to pay compensation. Or else, the good deeds of the oppressor will be added to the account of the oppressed in a manner proportionate to the level of the injury. And where the oppressor does not have good deeds again, then the sins of the oppressed will be added to his account in a manner proportionate to the level of injury. So that explains why you need to think of those you have oppressed. Go and make amends before that day of judgment. Some of us are good in grabbing lands. You want to fence your land, you bent the fence. You have encroached on your neighbor's land deliberately. Whosoever illegally acquire an inch of land on the day of judgment, he will carry on his head the weight of 7 earths, and he'll be looking for the owner. There was a particular city I went to. A particular landlord just visibly encroached on the main road. He was taking half of the main road, and he built. They will put the wall of their house on the exact spot that their land ended, then they will extend their fence to the main road. Ustaz Hassan Abdul Hafiz, oppression comes in different ways. We are talking of lecturer, teacher, the master, and then the subordinate, the king, and the serf. Tell us more. Now, message of Islam. What is the message for the viewers on oppression?
The hadith you made reference to about people having to settle the score on the day of judgment is instructive. The believer, the Muslim, stands in prayer and declares Maliki Yawmiddin when he's reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, which is a surah you cannot omit in your prayer. The prayer will be invalid. Now, you say Maliki Yawmiddin, meaning that you are forced to acknowledge that whatever we have done here on earth, there is a day, that there will be a judge. The Quran says Allah will ask on the day of judgment, Limanil mulkul yawm. Who is the king? Who is the owner of the kingdom today? And he will answer again by saying, Allahul wahidul qahhar. Allah, the singular person, authority, the one who cannot be resisted, is the one that will preside on that day. You must pay. If you don't settle the score in this world, you must pay. The Prophet Islam said it in a way that is too clear. Your good deeds, you can be the one who goes to the mosque. People revere you because, oh, this man is holy. But you are oppressing people. Those your good works will be used to pay those you have oppressed. And it will go to such a point that if your good deeds are exhausted, the evil, the sins of others will be lifted and placed in your account. It is enough, warning to make a person afraid. Not to even match somebody's feet mistakenly. Should you walk away, it was a mistake. What is your problem? Tell him I'm sorry. Exactly. Tell him I'm sorry. Before the day of judgment will come, because the day of judgment is a terrible day. Everybody wants escape. If I know I can collect your deed, I will collect it. So if I have a little bite on my finger that came from you, and Allah says, what do you want? Please collect it for me. Because everyone is looking for safety. Now, that is it. That is it. So, the message is stop oppression and know that there is a day of retribution. The day that everyone will be paid according to what they have done. If the oppressor cannot get his right restored to them by whatever means in this world, just know that Allah will restore the right on the day of judgment.
We are going to tell the which you have already recited now, that the day on which man will flee from his brother, from his wife,
husband,
and from his husband, from his children. But everyone will have enough concern of ease to make him indifferent to others.
Everyone will have concern because he's an individual thing. No one person carries the burden of another. And the point that has to be gotten and gotten very clearly is like when Allah asks the rhetorical question, what comes between you and intervening on behalf of those who have been oppressed? Whose cry, which gets to Allah, is that, oh Allah, extricate us from this land whose leadership is oppressive. Everything about it is oppressive. So that implicates you when you are a stand by watching oppression happen. You have become a participant in that act. You are required to stop oppression. Oppression is not there because there are oppressors. It is there because so many people are choosing to be indifferent.
Allah give us the understanding. Last word quickly, advice.
The last word we can give to us is to say, restore the right of the people to them.
The last word is simple, that on the day of accountability, even animals that broke the honor of another, Allah would get justice for that animal whose horn was broken before they are turned to dust. Talk about us human beings.
Viewers, you've heard it all. Do not be oppressive. fear the day of judgment, the day of accountability, the day you stand before the Lord of the worlds, and everything you've done will be seen. Beware of committing sin in solitude, for the witness is also the judge, and that's Almighty Allah. Let us shun oppression, and let us help the oppressed, and also help the oppressor by withholding their hands from oppression. Government, do not be oppressive. You have the greater government. Malikul Malik, the king of kings, that's Almighty Allah. If you are a king, there's a greater king over there. Let us fear Almighty Allah. Thanks for coming. Ustaz Sani Abdul Hafiz and Malam Nuruddin Asunuge. I remain your host, Al-Hajj Alamin Allah. Viewers, let us shun oppression. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ITV, certainly the best.
Oh, my son, my dear. You will say, oh, my dear. Oh, we're not here. It's not there. You're not over. Yes. You're not over. Yes, my dear. Where's the Ravenisa? Where's the Ravenisa? Oh, it's not here. Where's the my dear? It's
The Esama of Benin Kingdom thanked the new Edion for visiting him and advised them to always abide by the rules and regulations of their new positions. The Esama urged them to indulge in what will continue to bring development and progress to the community.
When I say it's your job, I wait to us and I know what I will.
Yes, Papa.
Caliban was in a couple of with them. Who paid you? Who paid you? Baba. Echo one as ever. Ever here, not the letter did we ask about my former. I will wait in it. A joke. Hey, Jonah will. Hey, Jonah, pull up. Hey, Jonah, Nuria, why he said, Bobby, go back. ọjọ́ wèé kájẹ́dé nẹ́nà ya dẹ́wò yìí wọ́n fi gbé àdẹ́wò náà mọ̀ náà máa ṣe lọ́kọ̀ ayé.
ITV, certainly the best.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking about. That's what I said. So when they bullied her,
Yeah.
if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused, or you see signs, a bruise or a child, it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something.
Party.
You have to be
They
smart.
can't sit
If
down.
you see when they are dressing them or are dragging on both sides, you cannot you cannot breathe. And these women would stay in those events for hours just to keep up with that beauty trend.
Is that healthy?
That's not healthy.
I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels, and we're reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. Of course, Women in Conversation is a program designed for women to discuss about themselves.
ITV, certainly the best.
Welcome to another edition of your program, Hitches and Voices. On this program, our conversation centers around persons with disability. My name is Kingsley Okoje. Don't forget that this program is brought to you by Network for the Advancement of People with Visible Disability, NADVID. NADVID is a non-governmental organization based here in Benin City that is advocating for the rights of persons with disability. Special apologies today because we are unable to have our sign language interpreter, which is meant to cater for our deaf audience. But subsequently, we'll be able to fix that and we'll have a sign language interpreter on set. Today is the 12th of June, 2026. It's Democracy Day, a day set aside to celebrate our democracy. I don't know if I can still refer to our democracy as nascent because we've gone more than a decade and that's no mean feat. On the program today, our attention is going to settle around the subject of democracy and disability participation. And who is best to have this conversation with us? We have with me in the studio a very revered and highly distinguished personality, Melody Omosa Esquire, one who has cast a niche for himself, not only in the disability community, but in our nation. I'll call him a national treasure because he's behind the conceptualization of the Braille Ballot Guide, a voting material that is meant to aid voting for the visually impaired. So you can understand why I call him a national treasure. Barrister Omosa, welcome to Hitches and Voices.
Thank you very much. Always a delight when I have the opportunity to be with our audience and viewers.
Welcome. I'd like to say a big thank you to our audience who are following on radio and those of you who have taken out time to follow us on television as well. A big shout out to the management of ITV for walking the talk when it comes to disability inclusion. They have made Hitches and Voices a household name in Edo State by ensuring that this program comes to you live on television and on radio simultaneously. But back to the subject,
Today we are talking democracy. Like I said, I don't know if I can refer to our nation's democracy as nascent. I'd like to have your overview on this. What's your take on Nigeria democracy? Do you think it has properly evolved? Do you think our democracy can rank among celebrated democracy in other climes?
All right, thank you so very much. Thank you, viewers and listeners, for joining us again on Hitches and Voices. 29th May 2026, our democracy became 27 years, and that in an economy that is stable, in developed societies, if when things go according to plan, a man or a woman that is 27 years is already a father or a mother, have graduated, has started living their life. So by no stretch of imagination should our democracy again be referred to
as nascent.
27 years down the line.
He's a grown man.
He's a fully grown man. And I'm happy that today, of course, that leads me back. Chief Anthony Enahoro was said to have moved for the independence of Nigeria in 1959 at the Western House of Region, the Western House. Then, when he was but 26 years. So when juxtaposed against our democracy, the Fourth Republic, that is already 27, you agree with me readily that it is not a baby anymore. But it's a long way. But of course, when juxtaposed with other democracies, United States, France, and all that, well, we are still a very long way away. But we're talking about June 12th, the 12th of June, and I'm sure many of these present, the Gen Z generation, they call them, except they do a little bit of history, may not have known why June 12th.
But unfortunately, history has been taken away from
our curriculum, very unfortunately. You recall that on the 29th of May 1999, the military handed over to a civilian elected government, and President Olusegun Obasanjo became the president, and that day was set aside as democracy. But down the line, there was a clamor that before May 2029, there was a June 12th, where MKO Abiola, Moshood Kasimu Olayiwola Abiola, was elected by an election that are then adjudged to be the freest and fairest election that was organized, where he won, had a landslide victory on the way to become the Third Republic president on the 12th of June 1993. Unfortunately, that process was cut short in that the elections were annulled, I think on the 23rd of June that same year, by the then head of state, General Badamasi Babangida. And of course, a year after, he declared himself in 1994 as the elected as president, saying that the military under Abacha was unwilling to hand over to him. He was incarcerated, and in 1998 he died. The first from his own part of the region, Ogun State and the whole of the western region, continued to clamor that he should be recognized as an elected president, even though that process was cut short because he was sliding to victory very comfortably before that whole process was stopped. So for the Western states, they continue to recognize June 12th as Democracy Day. That for them, that is the proper day of democracy, and would even declare those days as public holiday. But Mohammed Buhari, of blessed memory, the president between 2015 and 2023, I think a year or two before he left office, recognized June 12th and declared it a Democracy Day. What this president has done now is that June 12th is not, no, I think Buhari recognized that Abiola actually won the election, and that he declared him as a former president. But this administration has properly recognized June 12 as Democracy Day, and instead of having a public holiday on the 29th of June, 29th of May, June 12 has now been declared as Democracy Day. However, the handing over day and change of government from one administration to another remains on the 29th of May because it's a constitutional matter. But my take would be that the National Assembly should allow this to reflect, since it's popularly accepted, to move our Democracy Day by 13 days from May 29th to June 12th. Not, however, this administration or parent elected president and National Assembly, state governors and state houses of assembly benefiting from it. But this administration can do that so that whosoever is elected next will know that the taking over date and handing over date will not be on June 12th. No need to recognize May 29th and also recognize June 12th simultaneously as Democracy Day. So that's the brief history of what has happened. So Nigeria is no longer, we are a grown adult, and we should be seeing some features of an adult who is actually growing and in charge.
All right, you said something very stunning, that a 26 years old Auntie Onaru moved for the independence of Nigeria.
Yes.
And I'm wondering where our current 26 years old, where they are now. I'm sure they are out there hustling for jobs, trying to get themselves one employment or the other. Meanwhile, years ago, a young Anthony Onaru had the opportunity to be in an assembly where he could move that motion. One would have expected that we would have evolved to a point where we have younger people in position of authority to impact governance. But like you said, a 27-year-old child is a grown man, and there are certain things expected of him. And we are hoping that we'll continue to mature. But let's come back to disability participation now. There's the issue of democratic inclusion. Do you think our democracy as it stands today is more inclusive of persons with disability? And what does democratic inclusion looks like?
All right, thank you very much. In democracy, we say there's always a social contract between the government and the people. And that is what distinguish or differentiate the system of government to other types of government. Whether the monarchical system of government that is largely by hereditary, or the authoritarian system of government, or the theoretical system of government, where people take either by religious inclination or by other forms assume rulership position, not even leadership. But any form of democracy, being parliamentary, presidential, provided the people have the free choice, can participate and decide who their elected representatives will be. It is said that the people willingly donate their power to their representative, and therefore a social contract exists between the government and the governed. And I think that opportunity to participate in those who lead you should be the starting point. You don't wake up and say government is not responsive and responding to the yearnings of their citizenry, when in the first place you have no say whatsoever in either due to lethargy or you fail to perform your civic responsibility, or the opportunity to so do was not even provided in the first place. The point I'm struggling to make is that democracy starts from when the people are able to participate and decide who leads them. And it is to that extent that inclusion should be the bedrock and the watchword of every system, democratic system, that is aimed at bringing everyone on board. And to how inclusive can we say the democracy is for persons with disability, I would say the conversation is on, but we are yet not there at all. We have started because I recall that I and the organization I lead, NAVID, Network for the Advancement of People with Disabilities, were a part of a process where we campaigned for Access Nigeria Disability Vote Matter campaign, where we engaged the Independent National Electoral Commission, the National Assembly, and other relevant governmental bodies to the end that they would make our electoral process and open enough for participation by persons with disabilities.
All right, we'll go to the issue of electoral participation. They usually say that in democracy, majority have their way, and the minority can have their say.
And only have their say, yeah.
I know that the community of persons with disability, we are in a minority in terms of our population and in our democracy. Would you say we've had our way, or we've been able to have our say, even though we can't have our way?
Well, I don't know how much you are in minority. It depends on what your calculations are. We are talking about over 35 million persons with disability in this country. And if we are able to harness that, everyone come together, I think the community of persons with disability as a constituency can sway election in any direction in this country if we properly harness. By what margin, what was the participation of the vote in the 2023 election between the candidate? We had a little over 25 million people participating in that election. And so I wouldn't really say that we have, as a constituency, that we are
in the minority.
Of course, if in any case, we say that we are the largest minority. That is how we like to brand ourselves. But of course, we know that we are not a political party, and so we belong everywhere. But the point will be that when it comes to advocacy for inclusion of this demography, the women group, for instance, and started long before, even the youth. Certain things were considered for the women and the youth group that we still yet do not have as a constituent.
All right, we'll stay on that subject, but we'll go on a quick break now. When we come back, our conversation continue with the Executive Director, Navi Melody Omosa. Let's go on a quick break, and we'll be right back. It's still Hitches and Voices on Independent Television and Radio. My name is Kingsley Okoje, and our subject for discuss today is democracy and disability participation. And before we went on that break, my guest disagreed with me that the community of persons with disability, we are not in the minority. Nigeria has a population of over 200 million, and it is estimated that the disability population in Nigeria is well over 30 million. So that is not a minority, or we'll call it the largest minority, like you said. Let's go to the issue of electoral participation. INEC at the time talked about inclusion. It was a big issue within our electoral conversation. But I recall in the last election, it seemed to me, my personal opinion, judging from what I heard from other persons with disability who were in the field, that INEC seemed to have relaxed in terms of their commitment to disability participation in the electoral process. Where I voted, for instance, there were no brave ballot guide, not just for me, for other persons with disability who were there. People complained that there were no instructional materials for the deaf. Elections were held in places where wheelchair could not access. So a lot of persons on wheelchair would rather stay at home rather than suffer themselves to go to a polling unit that is not accessible. So when it comes to participating in the electoral process, either as voters, let's even stay with voting. What's your take? Where are we on that?
All right, thank you very much. Like I said, there was this campaign where we tried to deepen inclusion in our electoral process with INEC, and we very well believe that engaging was the way to go. So we did not only advocate, but we were actually on ground to prefer solution. That's where the Brave Ballot Guide you talked about was designed in the first place. First piloted in Osun State in the 2018 gubernatorial election that held on the 18th of September 2018, and thereafter deployed nationally at the 2019 general election. One would have expected that there will be a progressive use and coverage in terms of distribution of the use of the Brave Ballot Guide. And Brave Ballot Guide is a system by which visually impaired and blind voters can access the ballot independently and be able to vote for candidates and parties of their choice. Like I mentioned, used nationally in 2019. After then, we continue to engage INEC to find out how we were progressing. Since then, in every election, we have always monitored. I have always been on the field to see the inclusion and the deployment of materials for the blind, the hearing impaired, even those with albinism, the provision of magnifying glasses for them to use. And what I see is that, like you noted, INEC seemed not, the momentum seemed to have dropped. I wouldn't know what happened. I recall that not only did we provide this guide, these materials, assistive materials for INEC, we also embarked on collecting data to know where voters with disabilities, the polling units, they vote, so that with that record, INEC can deploy materials meant for the individual voters to use depending on the disability type. And we also ensure that the CVRO, Continuous Voters Registration, that INEC now have, would, in the process of registering, you would have your disabilities type and stated in the form, so that they know firsthand that you are one with a disability, and on election day, seamlessly, you will be able to participate in the process. But that's not what we are saying. INEC has always had this logistic problem. And I think that for a group of persons with disabilities, for that matter, it should not be much a problem, even though we know nationally they do have their challenge. But I would say that from what I monitored in the last election, I'm not impressed at the pace INEC is going. I think that, yes, it's fine that we had this problem 2018 when it was piloted, 2019 it was it was used nationally, and given the obstacles election, if in the obstacles election, organizing an election for a state like Edo, Ondo, and all that, you cannot successfully deploy these materials for the persons with disabilities to participate in the system. I wonder what will happen, what happens in the general elections.
I mean, like you said, this is a 27 years democracy. And one would expect that at this stage, disability participation in elections should be a given. It should not be something we are still urging INEC, trying to encourage INEC to do. It should be a foregone conclusion that persons with disability can indeed participate in the electoral process, because the electoral process is accessible and inclusive. So we can only call on INEC to do the needful. Let's move over to representation. Do you think that persons with disability are adequately represented in leadership and in governance?
Well, they are not. The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability 2006, Article 29 has asks that state parties should open their political and public space for the participation of persons with disability. And that was also ratified by the Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act of 2018. But what do we have? I think that as we tinker with our constitution, we have had the Fifth Amendment, and Of course, the INEC, I mean, the National Assembly is also making move to further come with amendment. I think we need to have seats reserved for persons with disability. It's not enough to come up and say by political parties, where for some of them will say,
but they say power is not served a la carte.
Well, we are talking about representation.
Of course, of course.
Government must be seen to be protective of the weakest, of the minority, of the vulnerable. And a minimum standard. Why are women asking for a 35% affirmative reserve for them?
Women?
For why are they asking that certain seats should be, 1/3 of the seats should be reserved for women participation? That's why I said that the youth, of course we have, perhaps not serve a la carte, but we have the not too young to run be speaking to the participation of youths. But why are we not having something specifically directed at persons with disability, protecting their representative rights in the executive and in the legislative arm of
sorry for cutting
that of the
without mentioning any political party. I heard over the news that a particular political party has mentioned that as part of their policy, women and persons with disability who want to contest under their platform will be given their expression of interest free at a very minimal discount.
I say that is tokenism. that is just, that's playing to the gallery. It's like, oh, the Kingsley Okojen has the money to buy the form and I do not have, and we are contesting for the same position. You have paid for the form and I've given the form free. Who do you think the party will hand over the tickets to? The one that did not pay to contest and the one that paid for it. Until they make such persons their candidate to say, okay, we have reserved because this person have indicated interest, this party is presenting this person to run for that seat, then there's no guarantee. And even where parties are willing to do that, what is the assurance that other parties will follow suit? So I think the way to go is to have our constitution amended, to have a represent, and it is done in all democracies. There are
like in Uganda, for instance.
Yes, in Uganda, even in Iran, in Iran and in Iraq, for instance, I know very well, which is an Arab nation. They have certain seats for reserved for the Christian population, a certain percentage, right? That is an Islamic country, and so we see that everywhere that certain group must have some level of protection. That is not all they should have, but at least we shouldn't have a 360 National Assembly members with no one representing the disability community and issue. Like I said, we are not just only a community, we are a constituent, and our issues should be so serious. So I think that we will do more to amend our constitution to guarantee some level of protection. That way, it will be a far cry for disability representation. You look at the executive, you talk about women, you talk about youth. How many governor or president have in their cabinet a one with a disability holding a substantive position, apart from what they try to do sometimes, having an SSA on disability matters?
All right. But very quickly, in 30 seconds, I've known you over the years. I've seen people in politics and in governance. I don't think some of them have some of the qualification that you have to contest. Looking at the future, are you considering? I hope you know what I'm saying. Are you considering contesting for any elected position? Because I know you are more than qualified, than some of the persons I see out there. Would you consider that?
Not for the moment.
Yes.
We'll see what the future holds. But
because I'm preparing to be your campaign manager.
Thank you so much for offering that. But I actually want to see that our system change and our democracy, our electoral process have such integrity that people will believe participating will not be shortchanged.
All right, this is a wrap on the program today. Such an interesting conversation, always with the Executive Director, Navid Melody Omosa Esquire. It is our hope that as our country's democracy continue to evolve, that disability participation will become more inclusive and accessible for persons with disability. My name is Kingsley Okoje, spot the hitch, and be a voice. Goodbye.
ITV, certainly the best.
The threat of global warming is real. You have seen the destruction of lives and property as a result of incessant flooding. Make the environment a conducive place for all to live in. Stop polluting the environment. Protect the environment today. This message is brought to you courtesy Independent Television and Radio.
ITV.
ITV, certainly the best.